Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ayush Balaji, and I'm a third-year medical student at the Hull York Medical School. And today I'll be presenting our approach to the low-cost, table, stand-mounted, minimally invasive cardiac surgery simulator. So extensive research has demonstrated that competencies developed through simulation-based training effectively translate to the operating theatre, and familiarity with surgical techniques not only enhances the confidence of trainees, but also improves the training experience. This leads to enhanced surgical precision, reduced operating times, and ultimately better patient outcomes. And specific to MICS, both trainees and juniors are at a skills acquisition stage, meaning that the demand for exposure to MICS training is significantly higher. The more exposure surgeons can get to the techniques and environment, the better it is for them and for their patients. As you can see from this RCT, long-term simulation-based training showed an improvement in patient outcomes. So our aim was to design a low-cost, adaptable, and easily accessible MICS trainer to support trainee education, to be able to bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical skills. So to start off with a bit of an analogy, as most of you know, all of these are incredible machines, your Ferrari or Lamborghinis, but most of us can't actually learn to drive in a Ferrari or Lamborghini. We need our Volkswagen Polos or Vauxhall Astras. Just like that, all of these are incredible training tools, but they're the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis in the world. And which brings us to the issues with this approach. You can't crash a Ferrari or a Lamborghini your first time. They all cost a lot of money, with trainers being over $2,000. They're meant to be fixed units and can't be taken home. They all have a fear factor to it, and they're all very highly task specific. If you've never done any mixed procedures, you want to firstly learn how to orient yourself in the space and get a feel for the movements. You need a daily driver for practice, not a Formula One race car. So how do we address this? So we aim to create a simulator designed with cost efficiency and ease of use as its core principles by combining a variety of different approaches. So to this end, we started our design plan through pen and paper sketches, taking it to 3D CAD design, and as you can see on the video, having a play on virtual reality to see if we can iterate the device and look at different issues with it, look at how we can improve it over time before we actually brought it to fruition. So from this process, we came up with 3 different approach concepts. So the first approach is a fully 3D printed standalone unit encompassing a table stand, a uni and multi-port incision module to practice anything from basic movements to annular stitches. The unit is fully modular and can be assembled and disassembled anywhere, and it can be taken along anywhere you go. So here's an example of how it's being used in a trainee's home environment, as you can see by the cups and the plates in the background. So the second approach that we decided to take, which you can see on our abstract, was mounting an incision model to a pre-purchased tablet stand, one that you could buy off of Amazon. And this allowed for a reduced 3D printing time, allows for more portability and integration with what training might already have at home. Our third approach and our final approach was conceptualized as an alternative to 3D printing completely. So we decided that because 3D printer access can be limited, we need to look at a way that everyone can access this. So we looked at a Lego-based system. And for those of you who have kids, it's a good and fun project. You can get them interested in cardiac surgery that way as well. So we came up with a full instruction manual for how to construct a simulator out of Lego bricks. So the units themselves can be adapted using different materials to allow for simulation of different scenarios. So as you can see here, a baby bottle teat was used to simulate a mitral annuloplasty. However, we can also use things like an inflated glove to train left atrial appendage clipping, as we saw yesterday, where atrial fibrillation management training is still in its baby stages, and there needs to be more simulation-based training and operative training for it. And standard training exercises using laparoscopic surgery can also be used to start familiarization of the process. As a simulator, it's low cost, easy to assemble and use, and it's also portable. All of these allows the trainee to customize a simulator to their needs. In terms of overall training, the biggest factor is the law of mere repeated exposure. A home-based training tool means that they can have as much exposure as they want and anytime they'd like, allowing them to improve their procedural fluency. The versatility of the simulator can be used for basics to advanced skills, meaning that it can be implemented at any stage of a surgeon's career. And of course, I don't have to mention the importance of this to the creator of the Surgeon's Cookbook next to me. We're currently working on a few different areas to enhance the user experience further, including the use of a USB-based endoscope to facilitate different chest angles and camera port locations. And the most ambitious idea that we have at the moment is to create low-cost training tools and instruments, as we can find that this has been a barrier for early career surgeons. We're currently in the process of incorporating our trainer into training workshops at our institution, and we hope to expand this further through industry collaboration. All in all, a simulator is no good without training to go alongside it, so we hope to work together with established MIG surgeons to produce an open source fundamentals training program using the module to instill good practice. Thank you very much.
Here we go again. You have a very interesting module and very, very interesting, but you still have to make it. And so the cost you estimate, tell me what X down the usual cost for a simulator would be.
So,
is it going to be way down, or is it going to be?
So a conventional simulator costs around $2,000 to $3,000 from our research. The cost for us to print this is actually just under $15 with the raw material cost. Of course, it means having access to a 3D printer. And more institutions are getting access to some, and home-based 3D printers can cost around $100 to $150. So overall, you're looking at a significant cost reduction.
So about $500. How are you going to scale this up?
Sorry.
How are you going to scale this business?
So our approach was the open source approach, where we wanted to make the design plans and files available to anyone who'd like to 3D print it on their own, because our philosophy was that we didn't want to limit access to simulation-based training tips for just because of the cost or financial concern.
Yeah, more philosophical question. So it's a great idea, that's no question about it, this is why you're here, we all liked it. But philosophically, why do you think we need cheap simulators? I mean, we're doing heart surgery, we want to train, I think it's going to be part of our everyday preparation for surgery moving forward. So we need it as realistic as possible, meaning that there is some cost in it. So philosophically, why do we need to cut cost on simulators?
I think with MIX being at a stage where it's being adopted by surgeons worldwide and where cost can be an issue overall, we need to have a starting point. So before you can, like I mentioned before, before you can get to using a high fidelity, highly realistic simulator, you want to train your fundamentals, being oriented in space, being oriented in how the incisions are being, understanding the camera placement. And I actually grew up back in Japan, and going to hospitals there, trainees would be practicing all of their skills on very, very small things, even moving grains of rice from one end to the other, using forceps, or practicing on ends of gloves, doing their anastomosis on balloons. So I think because they had a good fundamental of starting off with the skills, they were able to translate that to learning in the operative environment and learning on high fidelity simulators.
If you keep the cost low, I don't understand how you're going to market it and sell it, because it will be like Walmart, you think, right? No. Because you can't mark it down, by the way. I'm just giving you an advice. You got to go to not very high, but some range which is palatable, and which means you gain, let's say, last one, you got to have a business plan to say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to mark it up for a certain price. And because, as you know, this cannot be a real thin razor blade you use every day. It looks like it's about a quarterly razor blade. 3 or 4 months, then you have another 3 or 4 months progress.
I think that's a very good point overall, because it's a starting point, and that means people have to move on to more high fidelity modules as well.
Well, sometimes we have to be altruistic. I think we don't have to put a marketing spin on everything, but it's all about it at once.
Altruism never survives for a long time, you know. It's good philosophically for that night, and after that night is gone. So you gotta be realistic.
That was great. Any questions from the audience? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.